The American Deer and Wildlife Alliance is proud to present Deer and Wildlife Stories. I'm Keith Warren.
Right on, baby.
I'm a hunter, a fisherman,
That's what you don't want to do. See, that thing's going all the way through my hand.
a conservationist,
Oh, come on.
a family man, and I'm proud to be a deer farmer.
Me? Yeah.
I'm taking a road trip, and we're going behind the scenes of today's most innovative deer farmers and wildlife management operations in North America. This is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Today's show is going to be quite different. We are up in northeastern Wisconsin, and we are at a place that is owned by what I call a maverick in the deer farming industry. We're at Wild River Whitetails, and the guy who owns it is Gary Nelson, and I like mavericks. And as we're in your lodge here, I see magazine covers all over the walls. Tell everybody a little bit about those covers.
All the covers that you see here in the lodge are photographs of bucks that were taken here on our hunting ranch. And I think you're right. I think we do have a little bit different story to tell, and I can't wait to get out there and show you around.
What we're going to do on the program is we're going to tie in how hunting preserves and deer farms are related and how they work with one another. And I think that anybody out there, as you look at your magazines, and you thumb through your magazines and you look at those beautiful pictures of great big bucks, I would say that 90% of those pictures are taken on hunting preserves. So let's go out and get this show started.
All right, let's go. One of the things that I think set us apart a little bit, and I recognize there are other people that are raising deer that have a well-rounded operation, and one of the things that attracts people to the deer industry is the hunting side of it. And I would make a comparison of that to the auto industry, where the hunting preserve, the ranch operator, is really operating the showroom. You got the final product, you're bringing in the customers, and you're putting on the hunts. And that's a really neat part of the business, and it's fun to do, but too many people don't think about the factory side of it, and that's the breeding side of the business. And we feel real good about our factory, our breeding operation. We've got top-notch genetics, but more importantly, we're able to produce the numbers and the style of deer at the factory that we can offer to the people here on the ranch, like the auto industry does at the showroom. And that's been a critical part of our success, is looking at the industry from that holistic perspective. We spent 2 years before we bought our first deer asking questions, checking things out, and it was time well spent, and it's really worked well for us in the intervening years.
You can take a look at a piece of property and look at the habitat, and see the quality of, or the lack thereof, of the habitat, and learn a lot about the people that are taking care of it. On this particular property, the habitat is in absolute pristine condition, so much so that it's in better shape here than on the outside of the preserve. There's only one reason for that. It's because of Gary Nelson's commitment to making sure that this place stays perfect.
Well, the food plots are coming along. It's middle of August here. The clover's coming up good. Turnip bulbs are developing, and I can see where the deer are already starting to browse on the tops already. So the food's here, and the bucks are getting fat, so it won't be long, and it'll be time to get out there and after them.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you in part by the North American Deer Farmers Association, New Dart, the North American Deer Registry, DNA Solutions, and Wild River Whitetails. can't believe how big your place is. I mean, the pens are big, and I can tell from looking at them that they got some age on them.
Yeah, we've been here a while. We started building the pens for the farm here about 16 years ago, so they've got a little bit of wear and tear on them, but they work real well, a little bit of maintenance and tender love and care, and they still do their job. Our breeding farm here is 220 acres under high fence. We have 45 pens, and there are 750 deer here on the farm. Most of our breeding pens are about 1.5 to 2 acres in size. When we set up, we wanted our pens to stay green during the growing season, so we sized them appropriately. Everything is fed with an automatic water system. Our farm is very much like a little city in that there's power and water buried 8 feet underground, runs 3/4 of a mile full length of the farm into each one of the pens.
You don't have to go to the expense that Gary has, but Gary doesn't spare any expense when it comes to taking care of the deer. He has run power to his deer pens to keep the waters going, to keep the water warm in the winter. And I think that's awesome. I mean, it's a long, long ways from the closest power, but he's gone to the expense of doing this, so his deer have plenty to drink, even in the winter. Gary has underground plumbing and electricity to keep these guys in here, so it gets really cold in the winter, and this way they have water all winter long. And you'll notice behind, there's a couple of different feeders in here, and these bucks are way off there. Of course, you're gonna stay on the other side of the pen when we're in here. But these deer, this is a giant pen too. Most deer farms I go to do not have pens this big, and you don't have to have a pen this big. But it's nice that they've got this much country to move around in, but deer have it made. They've got water 24/7, no predators, and all the food they could hope for.
We use a variety of shelters for our animals. Some are built, little 8x10 building shelters. Fawns will put barrels in the pens during the fawning season, and those work fantastic, especially early in the season when those fawns are first born. Sometimes here in Wisconsin we'll still have snow on the ground or get a late snowstorm, and there's nothing that warms my heart more than to come and visit the pens and see all those little fawns curled up in the straw in those little shelters, and it really does make a difference for us.
You know, I can't figure out a stalagmite. Is that what that is? Or could that be maybe where a big old buck came and just rubbed it down? I think it's from a big old buck. And it just shows you what they can do. If that was a live tree, it'd be dead now.
The rub, we put a series of cedar posts in all of our pens where we've got bucks, whether there's trees or not. So they've got a place in the fall when their hormones are up that they can go work off some aggression, build those neck muscles, and vent some steam. And it makes a lot of difference too in terms of long-term mortality rates. We'd much rather them taking out the frustration on a cedar post than their brother next door. I was always interested in raising deer way back as far as I can remember. And our original intention was, like a lot of the other folks, was to raise a few deer on a hobby basis, just because we were so interested in the animals. I had been a hunter all my life. I mean, a crazy kind of hunter. I put in time, and there was no limit in terms of how far I would go, the time spent, and the miles I'd walk, but it wasn't enough. I wanted more time with deer, and raising them was certainly the option for me. And why wouldn't I want to do this for a living? I mean, it's a rush, and it is every single year, every single time, with every single hunter. It's just, words can't describe.
That they don't have to worry about, deer don't have to worry about predators, because Gary has a electric meter right here and made this fence hot. You see? Okay, not really. Okay. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you in part by Chaffee, Pasture in a Bag, Oilfield Camo, Record Rack Deer Feeds, and S&S Whitetail Galore. Boy, went up talking about a change in the weather. Goodness. Kind of got warm, didn't it?
Sure did. Appreciate you offering to pick up that hay for me. I got to run to town and take care of this other business, but the field that you need to go to is just go down the road, first left, Second left in the field, right there on your left, there's a skid loader right in the field, and you see the big round bales. Just load her up and bring them on home.
3 lefts. Left, left, left. Okay, I got it.
All right, see you later.
All right, thanks. Well, I'll tell you what, this weather has shortchanged from this morning. 3 lefts.
You got it.
Is there a secret to getting this thing started? There we go. There we go. I got her. I'm not used to driving a Chevy. Bailout money. Can you say forward? Oh, yeah. Nice little forklift up here. I know this is the field. Right here. This has got to be it. All right, just in time. Hey Gary, how you doing?
Hey, Keith.
Yo.
Whoa, whoa. What we doing? This
I got
isn't
the
our,
bales, just like you wanted.
This isn't our field. It's the next one down the road. These aren't my bales.
Really? They are now. Let's take them.
Did you talk to the guy? No?
No, really.
All right, maybe we'll run into him along the way, but yeah, it's the next field down.
Are you kidding me? Well, that's a pretty, is that your machine?
No. I'd invite anybody who's interested in deer farming or who is a deer farmer to come out and visit us here at the deer farm. There's a lot of misconceptions about what the deer farming is all about, and I think one of the most common ones is that these animals and our hunting, the ranch hunting that we offer, is way different than what we see outside of the high fence, and they're really not. The people who come and hunt on a high fence ranch are the same people that are going to Kansas, they're the same people going to Canada, they're the same people that are hunting in their backyard for white-tailed deer, but like me, they want more. They want more exposure, they want to learn more, they want new experiences, and high fence hunting today ain't the critter it was 20 years ago, and I'm very proud of the product, the quality of the experience, and just the overall package that comes with high fence hunting today. Being out there and being exposed and seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 and older aged bucks is a whole different world than what most people have been accustomed to in the past. It is just unbelievable. The hair on my arms is standing up right now just thinking about it. Yeah, look at those yearlings out there. There's really a nice set of young bucks out there, and a little bit of everything. There's wide frames, long tines, there's drop tines, there's some mass. It's really interesting because it's only 2 different breeding combinations that you're looking out there, and you see a lot of different styles represented. And I guess I'm like most other deer farmers. I get excited by looking at them, but I'm already thinking ahead, what are these guys all going to look like next year? And
If you've got yearlings like that now, next year you're going to really have something. I mean, and the cool thing about deer farming is when you start lining up the genetics right, every year they get better and better. I mean, a lot better and better.
no, that's absolutely right.
And you're doing it right. That's 16 years worth of doing it right there.
Yeah, no, and it's gratifying to see the results there. When we operate the ranch, we recognize that the only reason we're in business and the only reason there is a whitetail industry, whether it's high fence or outside, is because whitetails are unique. They're all different. Everybody likes something different. So it's important for us in our breeding program to keep that up front, keep that in mind. I want that variety. I want to impress my hunters with, holy cow, I didn't know a white-tailed deer could do that. And it's not always the most expensive buck or the most expensive semen that's out there. It's the physical characteristics, and it makes all the difference in the world. And I think a lot of folks who get into the industry make the mistake of, geez, I got to go out and buy the most expensive semen I can get because that's going to put me on top. And it really doesn't, because everybody else in the industry is doing the same thing, and there's this big rush for everybody to go out there and breed the same animal. Everybody's got the same pedigree, and you don't have to do that. My recommendation is that people take a hard look at what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, where they want to be, and stick with it no matter what that market does outside, and you're going to be a whole lot more satisfied and successful in the end.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you in part by Chaffee, Pasture in a Bag, Oilfield Camo, Record Rack Deer Feeds, and S&S Whitetail Galore.
Our buck So Big was a young breeder buck that we had, and we were real excited about him. I go out and visit those bucks most every day, and this buck So Big has a big heavy set of antlers, and in August they're growing just unbelievably fast, which is great. It's fun to watch. But when I got to his pen and I saw him, it was obvious something wasn't right with him. I thought he was beginning to lose some weight, which is a real scary indicator of something going on. And at that time of year, looking at the antlers is one of the first things, because one of the things that happens with whitetails and any deer that is growing antlers and in velvet is that flies, if they ding up their antler in any fashion, a little tear, a little bruise, whatever, the flies will come and lay their eggs on whatever that wound is. So it was obvious to me that he had an antler infection, and he was beginning to lose some weight, and he was at a point where we had to do something right now. And when we were coordinating the program with you, Keith Warren's program, we didn't know exactly what we were going to do as part of that show, and because this happened, it kind of made us shift gears. I had to take immediate action with our buck So Big to save his life, really, because if we hadn't treated him, I have no doubt that he would have died within a matter of days. So what you see as part of this program and the actions that we took were really an emergency for me and for the deer himself, So Big, in an effort to save his life. So we had to remove the antlers, so we tranquilized the animal. And for the animal, it's kind of like you going into surgery in that you're anesthetized and you go to sleep, you don't feel anything, and we take a lot of care when we're handling these animals because it's the animals. That's our life. That's why we get into deer farming to begin with. It's all about the deer, and we want to provide the best care that we can for the animal. And so when we have to do this, this is a traumatic experience for us every bit as much as it is for the deer. So we tranquilize the animal. It knocks them out so they don't know what's going on. They don't feel any pain. We give them a variety of drugs to accomplish that and to protect their welfare. We give them an IV to replace fluids, some nutrients, so that they are in as best body condition as they can be after we conclude whatever it is we're going to do with the animal. So in So Big's case, knock him down, we sawed the antlers off, we treated the wound that's created by removing those antlers because that's live growing tissue. So we use a tourniquet to stop the blood flow, make sure everything is sealed up. And when we're done with the treatment, we give him some other drugs that are going to have a longer lasting effect, along with antibiotics to treat whatever infection there might be, and then give him a reversal to bring him back to consciousness. And of course, we're monitoring them several times a day after that to see how they're progressing and how the treatment is going. And we're pleased and happy to report that everything that we did was successful. He recovered tremendously. He put weight back on, and he's back in that breeding pen with the girls, as you can see, and he's getting the job done, and we're looking forward to those babies next spring.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. And for more information on today's featured deer farmer, you can log on to our website where we'll have a direct link from our site to theirs. And now, a conservation message brought to you by the Hunter Heritage Foundation. 100 years ago, raising animals and tending the land was pretty mainstream. It was a way of life handed down by our grandfathers and their fathers before them. But landowners are finding it increasingly difficult to pay the bills, and that way of life is fading from the American landscape. Thankfully, deer farming is giving many families a whole new outlook on land stewardship. Deer farming is a rapidly growing industry and a great alternative agricultural pursuit for families. Compared to traditional livestock, the deer industry is booming. It generates $3 billion for the United States economy and supports tens of thousands of jobs in small communities across the country. In fact, a Texas A&M study reports deer farming as one of the fastest growing industries in rural America. Raising deer helps our conservation efforts, but more importantly, deer farming helps us preserve our American outdoor tradition and gives the next generation a connection with nature we're so desperately missing. The white-tailed deer is the most popular big game animal in North America, and there's no reward greater than watching and caring for these amazing animals. You can now watch full episodes of Deer and Wildlife Stories and our sister program, The High Road, online 24/7 at keithwarren.net. While you're there, check out our Facebook fan page where you can become eligible to win prizes and more. Look for our new program, Ranch Properties TV, coming up this summer. This program is dedicated to the brave men and women of the United States military, past, present, and future. May God bless America.